Today I'm going to teach you guys how to create your own love chat using Skapi and the OpenAI API. I'm going to show you guys how it works, but if you want to try by yourself, you can just go into chatbox.skapi.com and try it. But first thing you need to choose here is you need to choose your pronouns. So I'm going to choose she, her, and I want my partner's pronouns to be he, him. If I send a message, you can see that you're going to have your own conversation with your partner. I'm doing great. If you reply, you get a reply back and then you can have a full conversation. Let's say you want to try something different. You don't want to specify your pronouns, but you want to be a dog. So you can click into others and then you can specify. Let's say I want to be a dog and I want my partner to be a cat. You can then start sending messages and the reply should be similar to a cat. If you reply, I'm great, you're going to get replies that should resemble a cat. So without further ado, let me teach you guys how we are going to create this chat box. First thing you're going to need is a OpenAI Plus account so you can have the API keys. You need to go into platform.openai.com, and if you go there, you go into your own profile, the one that you have your Plus account, and you should go here into User API Keys. Here, you can then click Create a new secret key. You can call it anything. I'm going to call it OpenAI. Create secret key. And let's copy the secret key. When you copy, what you're going to do is that you're going to put these keys into Skapi, so you can use them into your code. We are going to go into Skapi, and I'm assuming you guys already have an account. So when you make an account, make a new service, and we are going to go here into Client Secret Key. I already have a key here, so I need to register a new one. I'm going to call it also OpenAI, and you can paste your keys here. We are going to save. And now you don't need to put your secret keys into your code. You can just use this $client secret. Okay, so without further ado, let's start coding it. We are going to need two files. We are going to need the styles.css and index.html. I'm going to be sharing the styles.css in the description of this video since we won't be covering the CSS today. So into index.html, since we are using VS Code, we can just click exclamation enter. We already have a head and a body. And another important thing that I'll be using this tutorial is live server. If you don't have it, you can come here into extensions, search for live server and install this one. Here, if you go into your files and click with the left button, you can open with live server and you're going to see all the changes here without having to always update the page. What we are going to do next is first, we are going to link our styles.css into our file. We are going to do that by going to the head, we are using link, and the href should be the name of the file that we have. In this case, it's styles.css. Okay, and the next thing we need is our Skapi keys. So go back into your service in Skapi, into getting started, and copy your Skapi keys. You can also paste them in the head. First thing we are going to start coding is this part of the chat box. Is the first one, asking what are the pronouns. So here, the first thing we are going to do in the body is that we are going to create a div because everything is going to be inside one div, and we are going to give it the ID of chat container. Inside it, we are going to create a h1 tag just to specify what is our project about. Save and go back. You can see here, love chat. You can see already that has different colors. All of this because we already imported the CSS. And this is the container, our container that we just created. First thing we need to create a label for getting the gender. So the for is going to be gender. And we are going to ask, what are your pronouns? We want to give the user many options, so we are going to use the select. Inside it, we can have different options, so we use option, and we are going to give it a value. The first value is going to be person, and we are going to write select gender. So in case the person doesn't select anything, the value is going to be just person. And if they select some other option, then we are going to change the value. So the first one, we are going to just use he, him, and let's change the value to a male. The next one will be female, and it should be she, her. We also have a non-binary, which is going to be they, there. And we are going to add also another option, which is going to be other. So the user can input anything they want. This should be, the value should be other. And here we should also write other. Okay, if we go save and go back, we can see here that we have many options. And you can choose any of them. We are going to copy all of this alike, including the label. And we are going to do the same for the partner. So we are just going to change the part that are, what are your partner's pronoun? And it should be the same. When the users choose other, we want to add an input part so they can choose their own input. In this case, below the first select, we are going to add an input tag. The type should be text. The ID, we are going to give an ID of custom gender. So you can choose anything. And the placeholder should be, just please specify, so they can write anything. We are going to copy this and put the same in the partners one. Below the select, we are going to put an input. And we need to change the ID, right, to custom partner. If we save and go back, we have now two ones. You can choose your pronouns and you can choose your partner pronouns. However, if I choose he, him, I still have this part here saying please specify, but I already specified by selecting it. So what we want to do is, we only want to show this input if the user chooses other. So what we are going to do is, we are going to hide these two inputs. So you can just come here and add hidden. After the placeholder, add hidden. And now they are hidden. We want only when the user clicks other, it should show the input. We are going to do that by adding a function into or select. We can do that by adding on change. We are going to check custom gender. This is going to be a function that we are going to create. You can just copy the same for the other select. We save. And then let's create this function. So we can check every time they click on other, we are going to display this input. So we are going to open a script tag. Hidden. And also don't forget, let's put an ID to each of the select. The first select, the ID should be user, because that's how you're getting the user information. And the next one, the ID should be partner. So let's open a script tag and let's create this function. So this function should be function check custom gender. And the first thing we are going to do is, let's get the user. Let user be equals to document.getElementById user, and we are going to get the value. So let's say if they choose he, him, the value should be male. And let's do the same for partner. Let partner equals document.getElementById partner, and we should get the value as well. And in case they click in other and this input, and we want to get the custom input, we also should get these variables. So let's put const custom gender input should be document.getElementById, and the ID here we can check is custom gender. And we are going to do exactly the same for if there is a custom gender input, but for the partner. So in this case, it's going to be custom partner. And we are going to get element by ID of custom partner. So we want to check if the user is equal to other, we want to have the hidden option to be false. But if user is equal to any of these ones, we want to have the hidden option to be true. So we do that by creating an if statement in which if the user is equal to other, what we are going to do is that we are going to get custom gender input dot hidden. This should be false. We should show this input option. Else, we want this to be true and we want it to keep being hidden. And we are going to do the same for partner. So you can just copy this if statement, paste again, and let's say partner. If partner is equals to other, we want to have the custom partner input to false. Else, if it's not other, we are going to keep it hidden. So if we save and go back, we can see now. If you click in other, it's going to show the input option. But if you go back and click in he, him, it doesn't show you anymore. Same for partner. Okay, now that we can already specify the genders, what we are going to do is that let's create the part that shows the chat box and also an option to send a message. We are going to go to there by going back into the body, and below the last input, we are going to add just a break tag so it will be more organized, and we are going to create a new div. The ID is going to be chat history. It's where we are going to keep all the messages, and below this div, we are going to create a form. In this form, we are going to give the on submit. Every time they submit this form we are going to just get the messages, your messages. On submit, we are going to send message. And this function we are going to create a bit later. Let's send the event. And inside the form, let's put two inputs. First one, the type should be text, because it's the message you're sending. The ID should be chat input. And let's put a placeholder, which is just type a message. The second input, it should be the type submit, so we can submit this form. And value, let's put just send. If we save and go back, we can see here that we have the pronouns and we have the chat history one, and we can type a message and we can send. If we send, nothing happens, it just restarts the page because we didn't write our send message function yet. So let's do that. We go down and we are going to create a new function, call function send message. We receive the event, and let's perform some actions. Before that, outside the function, I want to get two values. I want to first get constant chat history, which should be document.getElementById chat history, and also let's get constant chat input, document getElementById chat input. So in this case, we are just going to get our div that has the chat history, and we are also going to get chat input. This is the message that you're sending. We are going to define these outside the functions because I'll be using them later here in our previous defined function called check custom gender. So to start, every time the person sends this form, we want to prevent the page to restart. So you can do that by using event.preventDefault. And then we are going to get the values for user and for partner. So we can just copy the ones from above. And in this case, let's change this one to a constant. The first one in the first function should be a constant. And we are going to do the same thing. We are going to check, is user equals to other? If so, then the user should be the value for the custom gender. So we can put user is equal to document.getElementById custom gender. So we need to get the value. Let's also use the function trim so we can get any empty spaces. And if this is empty, if the person only puts spaces, we are going to substitute with person. But if it's not empty, then we get the value that the person wrote. Let's do the same for partner. So we can copy this if statement, paste again. Let's just change use to partner. And should change the ID to custom partner. So we are going to check if the user or the partner is equal to other, we are going to get the value that the person wrote. If not, then we are just going to get the values that we already defined here in the select. So person, male, female, non-binary. After that, what we need to do is check the message that the user is sending. So we are going to have another constant that we're going to call user input. So user input is going to be chat input that we got here, so whatever the user typed, dot value dot trim. So we get the value and we want to get the value without any extra spaces at the end. And we are going to create a small if statement to check if the input, if you wrote a message that is empty. So if the user input is equal to nothing, is empty, we are just going to return. So nothing's going to happen. And then the next thing we want to do is that every time you send a message here, hey, we want to display in this box, right? So how are we going to do that? We are going to do that by, we are going to get the chat history and we are going to modify the inner HTML. So every time you type, we are going to add something to the inner HTML. What we are going to add is we are going to put plus equal and we are going to add a paragraph. So you are going to use backticks. You're going to add a paragraph, and inside this paragraph, you're going to put just you and whatever it was your user input. So in order to use a variable inside, we can just use $, curly brackets, and inside we're going to put user input. That is whatever you wrote. So we can go back, and now if I type hey, it shows hey here. Just to make it a little bit prettier, let's put the U in bold. So we can do that by using strong. And if we save and go back, now that I type hey, this is bold. When we want to show this, we also want the message hey from here to disappear, right? Because you don't want to keep erasing it every single time. So we are going to do that by chat input dot value is going to be empty. And so every time you keep sending message, we want it to scroll automatically. So we are also going to do that by using chat history dot scroll top is equal to chat history dot scroll height. So when you keep sending messages, it's going to automatically keep going down. So if you send a message, it's going to keep scrolling down automatically. And now let's do the interesting part. Let's connect to our OpenAI API. We are going to use a Skapi method called client secret key. In which you're going to pass some parameters. In this case, the first one should be the client secret name. And this should be the name that you saved in your Skapi. So in this case, remember we saved it as OpenAI. So we are going to put OpenAI. It could be any name, depends on the name you saved it in your client secret key. We are going to also put an URL so you can know where should it fetch. And we learned this information by going into the platform.openai.com, go into the documentations, into chat completion, you have getting started. And here you can choose the option curl. And this is the format that we are using. We are going to use this URL here. And we are going to add 2 headers and the data in this format. So the URL should be the one that the documentation provided to us. We also need to add the method, so the method should be post. And let's add the headers. We are going to need 2 headers, so you can just go back and copy these 2 headers. Here you can say that you need to put your OpenAI API keys here, but since we are using the Skapi method, we just need to substitute into $ client secret. And then Skapi will automatically substitute this with your secret key that you saved in Skapi dashboard. And we need to also put the data. In this case, we need to define first the model. So the model, let's use GPT-4. We need to also define the type of the messages. Here we need 2 parts. First one, we define the role to be equal to system. And the content, this is where we are going to put our prompt. So in this case, the prompt that I'm using, but that you can change, so you can create any type of chat box, is I am a user. And let's remember to define also the user and the partner outside these functions. So we copy, we are going to go outside any function and let's define it here as well so we can have access to it. I am a user. You are a, and then we are going to use the partner. So this can be anything. It can be I am a dog, you are a cat, or it can be I am a female, you are a male, we are a couple, and we are in love. Always reply in a lovely and cute way. So this is my prompt. You can change the prompt the way you want. And the next thing we are going to add is another role, which should be user. So it should be the one that we are always sending. And the content of this one should be what you typed, right? So it should be the message that you want to send, so user input. That's how we connected to the OpenAI API. And what we want to do is when this whole call is performed, then let's have a data. Let's create an arrow function. And in this case, let's just console log the data so we can see what is happening and how we get the data back. If we save, go back, we can just click with the inspect and go into console. And then if it message hey, we will get the data here. If we open the data and we go into choices and the first one, message, we are going to get the content. Is the reply that we got from the API. So we want to display this here as another message. We are going to do that by going down. And here in the done, in this arrow function, we are going to create a constant called bot response is going to be data. So we are having the data, right? Remember, it was inside choices. It was the first one, so we need to put 0. And inside message, inside content, we have the reply. We are going to put chat history, and we are going to do the same. We are going to add on this inner HTML a new message. So let's use backticks, and we are going to put a new paragraph. I'm calling it bay, but you can call it anything you want, love, or you can even put the variable here from your partner, but in this case I'm calling it bay. I'm also using the strong to make it bold. And I'm going to put here the bot response. So $, curly bracket, you can put the bot response here. And the next thing we are going to do is the same thing we did before. Every time there is a bot response, I want the container to scroll down automatically. So we can just go up here and copy the same code. Chat history.scroll top is equal to chat history.scroll height. So it can scroll automatically. And if there is an error, we are going to use a catch. There is error. We are also going to create an error function in which we are just going to alert the user that there was a problem. And let's console log the error, of course. Let's see if it's working out. If I choose my gender, if I choose my partner gender, I send a message. I get the reply here, and it should scroll automatically. You see, it scrolls automatically for me and for the reply from the bot. However, let's say you want to change your gender in the middle of the conversation. So I want to change mine into other. So I want to be a dog. And I want my partner to be a dog as well. I can start sending new messages. And it's going to reply as a dog, but I have this old conversation here. So what I want to do is that every time there is any change here in the select, I want to clean this chat history. So we are going to do that just by going back into our first function that is called check custom gender. Every time there is any change, we are going to clean the chat history. We are going to do that by just going to chat history.inner HTML, and we are going to define it by empty. So every time there is any change, it's going to clean. So let's say I didn't select anything, you can still type. Let's say now I want to choose something else. I want to choose he, her. You see it cleaned up. So you can use a new gender and you can play around. So yeah guys, that was it for today's tutorial. I hope you guys make many different chat box. You can create a best friend, a boss chat box. Just let your imagination take you anywhere. Thank you for watching until the end. Leave your suggestions down in the comments and I'll see you guys next time.